Hey man, let's get something straight from the start. Most men chase attraction like it's some complicated formula. They think they need muscles, luxury cars, a 7-figure bank account, or pickup lines crafted by AI to get a woman's attention. But here's the truth. That'll piss off a lot of guys. What truly makes women obsessed, what makes them sell their soul without realizing it, has nothing to do with money, looks, or bravado. It's something so subtle, so counterintuitive, that most men dismiss it as too simple to be real. But when you do it right, it flips the entire dynamic, and I call it the Keanu rule. Why? Because Keanu Reeves embodies it. He doesn't chase, he doesn't boast, he doesn't dominate. He moves through the world like a ghost with presence, gentle but dangerous, humble but untouchable. And that contradiction, my friend, is the emotional virus women can't get out of their heads. Think about Keanu for a second. He's the guy every woman wants but can't quite figure out. He's quiet, soft-spoken, polite, and yet somehow he radiates this deep strength. He's been through hell, lost people he loved, suffered silently, and yet he never complains. That's what the Keanu rule is about. It's not about being nice or submissive. It's about being kind without being soft, stoic without being cold, present without being needy. You give just enough for her to feel safe, but never enough for her to fully decode you. You listen deeply, but speak rarely. You touch like it's sacred, not casual. You disappear without explanation, but when you're there, your presence feels undeniable. That's how obsession begins, not with loud dominance, but with quiet gravity. What makes the Keanu rule so magnetic is the tension it creates. Most men live at the extremes. They're either overbearing and loud, always trying to impress, or they're passive and weak, afraid to even make eye contact. Keanu sits dead in the center. He's the storm and the calm, the man who can protect you and also disappear on a motorcycle into the mountains with no explanation. That tension, that's what women crave. Not answers, not perfection, not predictability, but tension, polarity, emotional mystery. When she can't fully read you, when she can't predict your next move, when she feels like she's on the edge of discovering something deeper about you, but never quite gets there, that's when obsession starts. That's when she checks her phone 100 times. That's when you become the itch she can't scratch. Now, here's where most men screw this up. They think silence and mystery means doing nothing. No, the Keanu rule is not about being passive, it's about being minimal but intentional. Every word you say, every look you give, every action you take should feel like it carries weight, like it came from a man who knows who he is. That's what makes women lean in. When you say less but mean more, when you touch her and it feels like you meant it, when you look at her and don't flinch, when you pause before responding, not because you're unsure, but because you're choosing your words with care, she can sense that. It makes her feel like she's dealing with something rare, something she can't manipulate or predict. And that, brother, is a whole different category of attraction. The Keanu rule also relies on something deeper, emotional stillness. When chaos hits, you don't react, you breathe. When she tries to provoke you, you don't engage, you observe. You don't fight for attention. You don't chase validation. You remain grounded, like a mountain that doesn't move just because the wind screams. Women are emotional creatures, beautifully chaotic at times, and when they meet a man who doesn't mirror that chaos, but instead contains it, holds it, grounds it, they don't just fall in love, they become devoted, because in their storm, you become their anchor. Not because you shouted louder, but because you didn't need to shout at all. You see, every woman's fantasy isn't about the guy who tells her she's beautiful every 5 minutes. It's about the man she has to wonder if she's beautiful enough for, the one she wants to impress but can't quite figure out how. The man who doesn't fawn over her like every other guy in her DMs, but instead looks at her with calm curiosity, like he's evaluating her, not begging her. That's the Keanu rule in action, subtle dominance. You don't say you're different, you show it in how unbothered you are, in how little effort you give toward performing, chasing, or competing. And paradoxically, that's what makes her work for your approval. That's when she dresses differently around you, watches your reactions more closely, and starts craving your validation, because now it's rare, now it's expensive. One of the deepest mistakes men make is thinking women love attention. They don't. They love earning attention. They love earning affection. What they crave is the process of winning you over, not having you handed to them on a silver plate. And when you operate with Keanu's energy, you make your approval something sacred. You don't compliment her every move. You don't fall for surface level beauty. You don't validate her just because she wants you to. You wait, you watch, you test, and when you do give her that praise, when you finally look her in the eye and say, "You're different," it lands like thunder. Not because of the words, but because it came from a man who doesn't give that to just anyone. She'll remember that moment for months. There's a strange thing that happens when you embrace this rule. Women start acting out around you, not because you did anything wrong, but because they're trying to break your frame. They want to feel something from you, a rise, a reaction, a crack in your armor. But when you stay grounded, when you calmly smile while she rants, when you don't defend yourself or explain your worth, she spirals. And that spiral, that's her testing you. That's her trying to see if you're like the rest. If you crumble, she walks. If you stay calm, even bored, it drives her mad in the best way, because she realizes she's not leading this dance, you are. And in that realization, she begins to fall under your spell. The Keanu rule works because it mirrors something primal. It's not new, it's not modern, it's ancient. Thousands of years ago, the men who survived weren't the loudest. They were the most aware, the most composed, the ones who knew when to strike and when to stay still. Women instinctively still crave that energy. It signals protection, strength, depth, and above all, self-control. When you're nonchalant, poised, slightly distant, and unfazed, you're signaling that you have mastery over yourself, and that's intoxicating. That's what makes her obsessed, because every other guy is chasing her, you're not. Every other guy is performing, you're observing. And in her world, that contrast is like a siren call. But don't confuse calmness with coldness. This isn't about being a robot, it's about having controlled fire. When you speak, it should carry intention. When you touch, it should feel grounded. When you flirt, it should be laced with calm dominance, not neediness. You're not trying to win her. You're inviting her into your energy and letting her decide if she's worthy of staying. You flip the script entirely, and that's why the Keanu rule feels so dumb to most guys. They think seduction is about more words, more compliments, more pursuit. But real seduction, the kind that makes women obsess, is about less talking, more presence, less chasing, more gravity, less explanation, more mystery. You don't chase her when she pulls away. You let her go. You don't text 5 times when she doesn't respond. You delete the thread and go about your day, because deep down, you know this. The moment she realizes you don't need her to be okay is the moment she starts needing you to feel okay. That's the Keanu rule. That's the reversal of emotional dependency. Most men give their power away, bleeding for a woman who hasn't even earned their time. But not you. You've reached a place where your energy is too expensive to be wasted, your time too sacred to be given freely, and your attention too valuable to be begged for. And when she feels that boundary, it hits different. It awakens something wild in her, because now she wants to deserve you. You see, the typical guy has it all backwards. He tries to win her, but the Keanu rule flips that illusion. It's not about winning her, it's about letting her win you. And to do that, you don't run marathons for her attention. You walk slowly and make her chase just to keep up. The slower you move, the faster she runs. The quieter you are, the louder she gets. That's the paradox. You don't pull her in with fireworks, you draw her in with stillness. She'll feel something she's never felt before. A man who doesn't try to impress. A man who doesn't change his voice, tone, or beliefs just to match hers. And that discomfort, that mystery, that is what makes her obsess, because she realizes you are the first man she's ever met who doesn't need her validation to feel like a man. Here's what most men never realize. The more you talk, the less she respects you. The more you reveal, the less she imagines. The more you chase, the less she values. Women fall in love in the space between certainty and uncertainty. That space is where fantasy grows, and your job is not to remove that space, it's to manage it. To let her get just close enough to feel the heat, but never so close that she stops wondering what you're truly capable of. Your silence becomes a canvas, your stillness becomes tension, and your presence, when used with restraint, becomes unforgettable. Because unlike other men, you're not a predictable song, you're jazz, you're mystery, and mystery becomes obsession. You know what women really talk about when they describe the guy they can't get over? It's never the one who did the most. It's always the one who did the least, but did it with depth. It's the one who walked into the room and didn't need to be seen. The one who said more with his eyes than others did with their mouths. The one who never argued, never begged, never raised his voice, but you could feel his dominance in the silence. That's the man they can't stop thinking about. That's the man who ruins them for all others. Because he gave them something no one else could, the gift of emotional restraint. And once a woman tastes that, she'll spend years chasing that feeling again. The Keanu rule isn't about being detached, it's about being composed. It's about knowing that your masculinity isn't defined by what you do for her, but how well you hold your frame around her. She can scream, she can flirt, she can vanish, and come back, and you remain unshaken. She throws emotional waves at you, and you remain the rock. And in that stillness, she finds both fear and fascination. Fear because she realizes she can't control you. Fascination because she's never had to work for a man's attention before, and now she does. And the truth is, she loves it. She craves the challenge. She needs to feel like she's earning something that can't be bought with beauty or borrowed from charm. She wants to win you. You have to understand something most men never do. Emotionally detached doesn't mean cold, it means in control. It means not spilling your internal world just because she looked at you a certain way. It means not reacting to every one of her emotional shifts like it's an emergency. She cries. You don't panic, she threatens to leave, you hold the door. She flirts with drama, you flirt with silence. And through it all, you send one unshakable message. You are not her toy, her emotional sponge, or her savior. You are a mountain. And she can either sit in your peace or keep climbing storms that don't exist. When you show her that you're not addicted to her energy, she becomes addicted to yours. That's the paradox. That's why it feels wrong, because every instinct society trained into you says, be nice, be open, be emotionally available. But she doesn't want availability. She wants selectivity. She wants to feel chosen, not like she can just walk into your life and rearrange the furniture in your soul. And when you don't let her, when she realizes she has to earn space in your world, she will obsess over how to do it. She'll rethink every word she says. She'll dress better, text smarter, show up sweeter. Not because you asked her to, but because your silence demanded it. Most women have been spoiled by weak men, men who cave at the first tier. Men who change their opinions to match hers, men who act like puppies instead of lions. So when she meets you, a man who doesn't flinch, doesn't fawn, doesn't fold, she doesn't know what to do at first. She'll test you, she'll poke holes in your confidence, she'll try to trigger you. But if you stay calm, if you remain playful and unmoved, she will feel a deep, almost ancestral pull toward you. Because deep down, every woman is wired to crave a man she cannot bend. And when she finds one, her soul whispers, finally. You don't need to be rich. You don't need to be famous. You don't even need to be traditionally handsome. All you need to do is own your energy, own your peace, own your attention like it's gold. That's what she responds to. She might not say it out loud, but the moment you give her space to chase you, she will. Because women don't fall for the guy who opens up too fast. They fall for the man who makes them curious. They don't obsess over the man who gives them everything. They obsess over the man who gives them nothing they didn't earn. So yes, it might sound dumb at first. Act like Keanu. But understand, it's not about copying a celebrity. It's about embodying the calm, grounded, magnetic masculinity that never chases chaos. It waits, it watches, it chooses. You are not here to perform. You're here to possess. Possess clarity. Possess restraint. Possess silence so powerful, it makes her question everything she thought she knew about men. And when she finally comes around, when she finally drops the act and leans in with real feminine energy, you'll know it worked. Because she won't just want to be with you, she'll fight to stay. There's a reason why women remember the men who didn't give them what they wanted. It haunts them. Not because they were rejected, but because they were forced to reflect. Your calm presence becomes a mirror. They can't escape. They see their games fail, their beauty lose power, their manipulation fall flat, and in that stillness, in that reflection, they begin to change, not because you asked, but because your energy demanded it. She realizes she can't win you over with sex, charm, or chaos. She has to show up different, softer, real, vulnerable. And that's when she starts becoming the woman you might actually let in. Women are flooded with attention, compliments, DMs, men begging, proving, chasing. So your silence, your self-respect, it terrifies her. And that's why it works. You've removed yourself from the herd. You've told her, with your energy alone, you don't get access to me just because you exist. And that sends shockwaves through her system. Suddenly, her old tricks don't work. Her ego gets challenged. And now, for the first time in a long time, she's the one feeling off balance. That imbalance, that tension, that's the crack where desire grows. Because nothing makes a woman more obsessed than a man she can't control. You want to know what separates the men women date from the men they chase? It's not money. Not looks, not even confidence, it's composure. It's a man who can hold space without filling it with noise. A man who isn't reactive, who doesn't justify himself, who doesn't explain or beg. Just a quiet, steady presence that says, I'm good either way. That energy breaks her mind in the best way, because she's used to leading emotionally. She's used to steering the vibe. But when you don't move when she pushes, when you don't bend when she teases, when you don't flinch when she withdraws, she spirals. She spirals into infatuation, into curiosity, into obsession. Let every man run his mouth. Let every simping fool send his essays. Let the clowns do what clowns do. But you sit back, you smile, you move slow, because you know the secret. You know that presence, not performance, is power. You know that the less you try, the more she invests. The more you detach, the more she clings. You don't give her all the answers. You don't lay out your soul in her hands. You let her figure you out. And the longer it takes her, the deeper she falls. Because every woman wants to feel like she earned the man she loves. And when you move like this, she knows she did. So yeah, it might sound dumb. It might sound too simple to be true. But try it. Try being the man who doesn't react. The man who doesn't chase. The man who lets her feel the weight of his absence instead of begging her with his presence. Try walking away instead of explaining. Try listening instead of oversharing. Try giving her nothing but calm confidence and watch her give you everything. Because in a world full of noise, calm is king. And once she feels that stillness, once she experiences that peace, she won't just want you, she'll need you. She'll crave the safety, the mystery, the grounding. And she'll sell her soul just to stay in your orbit.